So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
All right. Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. I'm Jason Shields, and I'm big.
And I'm Marit Gabrielsen, and I'm the tiny one.
All right. So, electrified.
Electrified. Sorry, this happens every time.
It's starting to get hot. Gotta disrobe.
When we put on the I'm like, I'm cold. I'm gonna have my blanket on, and then we hit the record.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm hot. I'm so hot. And then I have to sit with that for half a minute for the intro.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I'm cooking.
Yeah.
That's better. Hello. Now ready.
All right. Very good.
Yes.
So we had a good podcast last time talking about ego, identification, roles and such. It was very good. And the difference between identification and ego deaths and all of that. And talked about the Swedish Academy of Realists art. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I got corrected there, and thank you very much for that, because we want it to be right. And time is going. We're so busy. We're selling tickets out like crazy for Soma Breath, for neurogenic integration technique courses, for the Flow State event in February, the Flow State Continuum. You know, elite athletes, artists from all over Europe are going to be landing, people who just want more out of their life. Some of the old gangsters from the courses that we've had before showing up. I can't wait. It's going to be wonderful.
It's very fun. We have Sweden and Germany represented.
Yep.
So let's see if we can get the Dutchies.
Oh, we need
a Dutchies. So it's a challenge to the Dutchies out there.
Come on, Holland. Let's go.
Come on, Holland. We can do it.
Yes.
Actually, we have questions regarding the flow state.
Yep.
People that's been listening to the podcast for quite a while, they know that we do talk a lot about flow state. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten a lot, I will call the event the flow state continuum, because it's not about just having it at a certain area in your life. It's about having the continuation out in every aspect of your life. And with that, I have some questions I have gotten. So, because I do believe that many have heard about flow state. In Norway, many call that flytzonen. Mm-hmm. But what's the difference between the flow state and focus?
Well, focus just means that you are paying attention to one thing to the exclusion of everything else. Flow state has a focus, but that's only one small element of the whole package.
Of the experience.
Of the experience, yeah. Flow is when what you're doing right then is basically not just a thing you're doing. It's basically the center, it's the focal point of everything that's moving around you, everything that's in you, all of the capacities that you have, all of the energy that you're moving in your body. Everything works for that one thing. It's kind of like it's almost like a vortex in a way, where everything else kind of flows into a synchronicity around the thing that you're doing. And that's something, you know how I love coffee, for example. So when I'm doing art, let's say, or I'm doing chiropractic, or I'm talking to you, or we're making a podcast, I have to kind of stop and remember to have coffee, because if I don't, the flow of what we're doing, I don't get hungry, I don't get thirsty, I don't want coffee. It's like I can suddenly come back and it's been 4 hours. You know, and when I say come back, it's not come back to this spot, but it's like I'm so much in a part, not just in what I'm doing, but a part of what I'm doing that is just natural to continue until it's finished.
But I think here's where the mix-up happens, I believe.
Yeah.
Because I think that is, as I experience flow state, it also makes me super aware of what happens in that, because I'm doing the thing. If it's jiu-jitsu or if it's doing the book in the clinic, or if it's in our event, I'm so in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think here's where I find the difference between then focus and flow state, because we talked a little bit about it. And that is that when I'm in the flow, it's not that I'm ignoring the things that's happening. I do that if I have focus. If I have focus and I'm doing a math thing, or I'm focusing, I'm I don't know, sewing something to get the pattern straight. I'm and also you see it in the eyes, because I'm doing it. I'm focusing. I'm getting the unibrow going.
Yeah.
And I'm really in that thing. And if my dog barks, I'm going, Teddy, sit down.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the
Distracting
flow,
me.
because he's exactly, because he's distracting me from my focus. But if in the flow, I may be doing the thing I'm doing, he's barking, I'm like, oh, he's barking, but you are aware of it, but it doesn't take anything away from what I'm doing.
Yes.
It doesn't take attention.
Yeah.
I'm not getting annoyed by if I'm in flow walking, a car honking doesn't bother me.
No.
When I'm in nature, this is a lot of people in Norway. I'm in nature and you're all alone. You have a farm up in a little bit further up north, and it's so quiet there. But then you hear a car, and people get angry because it's a car. It wrecks nature. But I'm hearing it, but it doesn't take away from the experience.
No. It's a part of the experience.
Yes, that will be the difference between then.
Yeah, because focus is focus on that with the exclusion of everything else. Whereas when you're in the flow, you actually expand your sense of self and the activities, so that you not only are the activity, but everything around you is moving towards the activity. So everything, like for example, you're fighting an opponent and you're in the zone, you basically, your opponent's moves just basically serve the process. You are in that flow. Everything's a part of what's happening right then and there. It's kind of like everything's moving you towards what you're doing. So it's almost like you can't be distracted. Because it becomes perfect.
It
becomes perfect. Exactly. You are in a synchronous state.
Yeah, and say then again, because I'm talking, because I hear this so much, It's my dad. Sorry, Papa. He's listening to the podcast. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get busted.
Love you, long
He's
time.
gonna say this was not. Anyways,
Yeah.
take that later.
Yeah.
So say you are in this beautiful nature.
Yes.
And you're in your flow, and you hear the birds. You hear I know, a shotgun, because it's hunting season in Norway right now, and all that's in what your experience of flow is. But then the car comes. Will that then, and I lose my flow because I go, shitty car, car shouldn't drive here, whatever. Will that then be blockage of my acceptance of the universe?
Yes.
For me to have flow.
That's correct.
Because
you can't be in flow when you're denying, reacting, or in a way judging what is.
Yes, correct.
You see, that's the point. It is what is in this moment. Whatever is. There's no your reaction. Like, I wish it was something else. It should be something else. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to push it away. All of these things in that moment, now you can decide that, this is not working with my flow, and we're going to move my flow over here. That's different, but that's not reacting or denying in the moment.
Yeah,
it's like,
because
I accept it's here, and now I'm making a decision to move away from it. That's okay.
Yeah, because it's not about just rolling over to your back and accepting that the universe is like this, and because then you get into a suffering being.
Well, you can accept it in this moment. That's the way things are. That's important, because if you don't know where your feet are hitting the ground, then you can't move forward. You have to accept what is, but you don't have to accept. This is the word that accept is kind of like, it's a bad word in this situation, because we're using it in two slightly different ways. You need to acknowledge the moment. Acknowledge the moment. It's here now. But you can say that I would like it to be different in the future, and then you can move towards that future outcome.
So you get experience, knowledge, wisdom from the experience.
Yeah, but acknowledging means accepting, but it means, so I'm trying to separate the two words. So not knowledge as in learning from it. Yeah, you learn from it, but it's kind of like, what would be a good, okay. Here's a good one. Me not opening a letter from the IRS doesn't mean...
Oh, we have half
that,
more year.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean that the taxes aren't due.
Correct.
So acknowledging the fact that I have a letter from the IRS and acknowledging the fact that I owe taxes, I have to be able to do that in order to function well. Mm-hmm. And me hiding the letter doesn't do anything good for me. Right?
No, that's not good.
So, or denying, ignoring, looking away from it, whatever. So accepting the fact that, okay, I have gotten my mail and here's a letter from the IRS. That's important.
Or your credit card. People having issues with that lately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you pull out this letter from the credit card company or the IRS, because I'm setting up some kind of a polarity, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to acknowledge its existence. I don't want to, I throw it away.
You're going to justify why you use that money on the TV that you shouldn't have used it on.
That also, the justifications, all of that takes me out of the flow. This is the point. All of that stuff takes me out of the flow. And that's why so many people enter flow, but very seldom, and get popped out of flow. It's because they have a very small channel of situations that allow them to connect the highest part of themselves with their body and the moment. Because as soon as something that they react to pops up, they get knocked out of flow. That's the definition, guys. If you're reacting and not responding, if you're flowing with everything that is and everything, you're in harmony with what it is, you're synchronous, that's the flow. That's what we're providing you the hack for.
And that's then also the difference between a focus and flow, because in focus, you're going to react to things that takes you out of your focus.
You're actually focusing on your drinking your tea instead of opening the letter.
Yeah.
I'm so focused now that I don't have to look at the letter from the IRS.
Yeah, and everything that takes away the focus, if that's a dog barking or your phone ringing, whatever it is, that then is a blockage.
Yeah, and then that's no longer participating. What you're cutting out is not participating in creating the synchronous flow state, which means you're not whole, which means you're not in the moment, which means you're not in flow. By definition.
So, okay, then I have next question.
Great question. That was
yes,
excellent distinction.
Thank you. Next question. I had this conversation this weekend. Wonderful lady, young lady. She's in her 26, something like that. Mm-hmm. And she has, I know her, so I know that she has flow. She doesn't know and understand what I'm talking about, so you have flow state.
Well, one small thing I just have to ask. When you're 26, it's still okay to say you're 26? At what age does it become not good to talk about the age of a woman?
I'm there now.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay, sorry. Go, keep going.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I actually don't know.
Oh, okay.
I actually don't know.
Sorry, I just had to ask because I was like, okay, did we say something wrong here?
No, she's 26.
All right.
I don't saying her name, so then.
But you know who you are. You're 26.
The listeners a picture, painting a picture.
All right.
So she's 26. Smart woman, educated, starting to kind of build her life, and I know she has flow state. She doesn't know that she has it. She does, and she has it while she cooks. It's amazing to watch her. I'm getting hypnotized watching her cook, and you can feel it in the food. Food. It's can't explain it any other way. But she had an interesting question, because I tried to explain to her, and we kind of close in relation. So of course it's even harder to explain it to someone that's close in relationship to you, because it's a lot of layers to get through. And she had a very interesting question, because she understood the principle of flow, and she heard about the flow state or flytzone in region, and she said, but doesn't that get tiresome? And would you like to have that everywhere? Like, why would you like to have that everywhere? And I thought that's a quite a good question. Because it does require work to get that.
Well, yes, but it's a lot more work not to be there.
Yeah, but if you don't know that you're suffering, you're underneath the rock.
Well, what does Gurdjieff say? The first rule of getting out of prison is that you have to know you're in prison. Yeah, you have to know you're in prison. And that's the thing, that a lot of us are so addicted to our own drama. We're so addicted to, that's just the way I am, or we're so addicted to, I have to grind it out in order to get a result, or they're addicted
our identities and egos.
And all of our stories. You know, like I remember a guy was, in a way, it was weird, because every time he was on the subway, somebody disrespected him. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what kind of city is this? And then I was with him. This is Washington, D.C. And by the way, D.C. used to have one of the worst subways in the world. Okay? And people were getting murdered. Same thing with New York. People getting murdered every day there. So I was hanging out with a guy, and we went into the subway, and he's like, do you see the way the guy pushed past me? And I'm like, no. No. Yeah, I mean, you mean the guy that just knocked me over trying to get in here? Because he was late. He almost didn't make the... Can you believe that? Can you believe that? This place is filled with rude people. And I'm like, I think this place is filled with people who need to get home after a long day's work. I mean, I'm not angry at him. He was like on the minute trying to get in, trying to push into the door. I didn't take that personally at all. But this guy's story was that it was personal. So, and in a way, his suffering gave him a reason to be self-focused. Okay? Now, this is a very important point. How much time do you pay attention to yourself? If you never think about your body, sooner or later, you're going to make a mistake and maybe eat too much or have a health issue. And then you have to think about your body a lot. Right?
I think the interesting there. Yes, I agree. I'll take that discussion later.
Yeah, because we'll come back to that. We'll come back to it. You know. So, but the point is that suffering and pain often gives us a reason or a need to pay attention to ourselves. So, if we're lonely or we're missing something or we're feeling disjointed or we don't feel like we're getting what we want and need in our lives, then very often we'll find some way to suffer so that we can contact ourselves and try to fulfill that hole.
Kind of a way to come back to ourselves when we're getting pulled out way too far.
Exactly.
We get too distracted with life.
And then you stub your toe. Oh, but you're back in your body. Right? Like it's a very interesting mechanism. And we'll do that consciously and unconsciously. We'll do that emotionally. We'll do it thought-wise. We'll do that physically. We'll have reasons to come back to ourselves. Okay? So when we set up these stories, the stories don't necessarily apply to the moment. But what we do is we apply our story to the moment. And then you're already one step outside of the moment. You're no longer in the moment. And that's why a lot of the Buddhists say that life is a dream. You live in a dream. And it's not actually that everything's a dream and not real. It's just that most people go through life applying their stories to things so much that it doesn't really, if you were standing next to them, you wouldn't see it the way they see it at all, you know? And that's really the interesting thing. So if you want to see what's real, you have to do some inner work and you have to start cleaning out a lot of these stories. These stories maybe were actually applicable when you were 5 years old or 10 years old or 15, or that thing happened and then suddenly it's a story. stop running your story when it's no longer appropriate? Well, how do you know it's a story? First, reflect. Number two, how do you stop running your story? Take the emotional energy out of it with, for example, a neurogenetic integration technique or soma. And then how do you stop retelling the story? Do moksha meditation and come to our flow state events. Bam! You can fix your life so that you have more energy and feel better. And yes, being in the flow all the time, that is the ultimate goal of being a human being, because you have 500% more efficiency in your life. You have way more happy chemicals going off in your brain, and they've studied this. You get more connectivity and meaning out of what you're doing because you're connected to the moment, to the things that are happening. And in general, people who are more efficient, more connected and happier, cooler to be around. So you have more friends. Do you want friends or do you not want friends?
Or you use less time talking about others.
Yeah, that's it. Because you're so involved in the moment, And it's so beautiful.
And that's something I've noticed with the people that, with myself and others that I see are experiencing more of the flow state, is that they use less and less time on the things what other people think, judging other people, judging other situations. Yeah. There are more in the moment. They evaluate to see what it is, but they're not judging.
Exactly.
It's very tiresome to be around people that judge all the time. That's you get very drained from it. I do, at least. And I see that people, and myself included, get more and more reflective. And you also, and that's maybe what I feel is two things that I feel really are the best, and that is that I'm less reactive. I'm more responsive, less reactive. I can say, stop. I can catch myself before I burst out. Not always. Life happens, but more often than not.
More and more and more and more.
And it's more kind of, the more and more, the reaction kind of now, instead of, the circle becomes less. It's my dog that gets it. but it's not damaging my relationships.
It's not breaking your life.
Yeah, and then it's I'm actually much more healthy.
Yeah,
because I have less depression, less anxiety. They're not gone because you're still human.
Still a human being. You have a nervous system.
But you still the total experience of life is calmer, and you get tools. I use the tools to kind of try to, when I feel like I'm getting thrown out, I'm using the tools to come back.
Yes.
But that's when, and then we actually come to the third question.
Bring it.
That I've gotten. And that is, we have a lovely man. I need to put up my mobile device to get the question here.
Yeah.
Lovely guy, has been meditating before. We know about him a lot. He's superhuman in my experience from what I know he's been through. And but life happened a lot all of a sudden, and he fell out of his good habits. And he asked a very good question to me, and he said, how do I practice what I preach? Because he's been doing that, but then, again, sometimes life knocks you a curveball and you get caught by it, and you in another dimension, and not the good dimension. And he said, how do I practice what I preach? Because he doesn't like not being able to do it, and he feels he needs to have himself accountable, hold himself accountable. And I said, first of all, and I think this is the reason why I bring it up, is I think many people experience this, because we try to be perfect at all times, but when life happens, and again you get knocked out to another dimension, and again not the good dimension, you kind of get in conflict with yourself, because you start to kind of make yourself thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, because you have to compensate, and then all of a sudden the wire breaks, like you lost yourself. And for me, it's so important. And I told him, well, first of all, if you're going to keep yourself accountable and practice what you preach 24/7 a day, 7 days a week, good luck. Then you not gonna experience life, and that's impossible. I said, because you're gonna have days you're not gonna meditate. Even though I meditate every day, you're gonna have days you don't meditate. I train. It's gonna be a week I don't train. But I said that's why. And for me, because he talked about his process, his spiritual process, that what keeps me accountable is, other than you create a company and you start having events and group sessions that you need to show up for because you have the key. And like we talked about, I said that is to keep, we are trying to create a community that holds itself accountable. Because sometimes life happens and you don't have the energy to do that for yourself, but then to have a space where you know that when I go there, I'm still on the right path. I'm still doing the right thing for myself. I'm still expanding. Yes, the other 29 days a month, this month, I wasn't able to, but for that day, that hour, I was. And that's why we have the group sessions. I said that's to keep yourself accountable. Well, you not accept first or acknowledge, or that I'm insecure how to use that word, but that you can't do that 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a week, a year. But do the thing, get help, use groups that will hold yourself. I would believe that's why you have AA. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's
also
one of the reasons why AA is one of the only things that works. One of the only things, not the only thing, one of the only things that work for addicts, because people who are addicted generally are looking for contact and connection. So having a group, a peer group around you actually superpowers you.
And that group.
And you have the regularity, you have the connection, you have
common goals.
Yes, and they actually give you a person who you have to report to. That gives you advice and knows what you're doing, and it's really good. That was a beautiful answer, by the way. I really like that. But here I'm gonna change a little parameters here, because me speaking about an ideal, like you should eat healthy, doesn't necessarily mean that you can never eat unhealthy. You should meditate. Doesn't mean you won't have days that you won't meditate, right? So what I try to set up in my life is trends of things to do. Now, because now I'm talking about personal philosophy, right? Because we have our spiritual connection with the universe, and then we have our worldview, personal philosophy, egos, roles, and identifications. Okay, so I'm moving us up to personal philosophy, right? And I'm trying to say to myself, you should eat healthy, you should train, you should be positive, you should do these things, you should. Doesn't mean that you have to only do those things, because I'm a person with a nervous system and I'm a total spectrum human being, which means that I have the darkness inside me as well as the light. I have the sad inside me as well as the happy. I have the evil inside me, just like I have the good, but I have to regulate these things and try to harmonize them and transcend them so that I can kind of use all of that energy that's created by the polarity to be a great human being. So, and this is an expression or kind of a description of how that energy comes about. Let's say that I'm going to be nice and good all the time.
Good luck.
Yeah. But the situation is that there's a guy who just needs to get the business. He needs to be told he needs to shut the fuck up. Sorry about the F word there, but you're going to have to push the button afterwards.
Yeah, and I'm like
yeah.
Not suitable for kids.
Yes, exactly. But sometimes you need to tell somebody to shut the fuck up. Even the Buddha said that. He said that you have to walk the middle path. Middle way is the way to go, because some people, it's not compassionate or nice to them. It's actually not serving them. That's better to say, to be nice to them. You need to tell them to shape up, or tell them what time it is. Like, shut the fuck up. You're doing wrong. I can't be nice to you anymore. No, you can't. Boom. Set the limit. So then my idea of being nice is now broken. And not only is there a lot of trauma inside me because I'm only a nice person and now I'm not a nice person anymore, but how tight and horrible is it to try to be nice when you know that you're going to have some situations where you can't be nice? And your identity also gets wrecked. So what, are you an energetic person or are you terrified? You're terrified because you're going to be put in a situation where you can't be nice. I would rather be nice. I like being nice and I don't like not being nice, but I will if I have to. You've seen me. If I have to not be nice, I can really do that really well. And I don't have to be nice.
It's so scary. It's
Yeah,
so
but
scary.
we go that direction. I do that as hard as I do anything else. And
Yeah,
that's,
but it also just shows the totality
the
of
range.
You have the range on both sides.
exactly. So that's the whole point. You go all the way on the other side. So when I know that that's available for me at any time, then I can choose to be nice or I can choose not to be nice depending on the moment, which means I can stay in flow. But I guarantee you, if I have an idea that I must be nice, but the situation demands something else, I'm not in flow. And I'm terrified constantly somewhere inside me that I'm going to have to not be nice. So then I'm not energetic either. So you start living a really small life, right?
Yeah, you start getting boundaries on everything.
On everything. And my life gets smaller and smaller. So if I'm always going to live up to an ideal, always, then I have no room for coincidence, flow. I have no room for unexpected events, which means humanity, fuck everything, destiny. Then that means I have to make my life really super itsy bitsy tiny. And that's okay if you're living in the Himalaya mountains in a cave where people deliver. But even if they're delivering food to you, there's some days they're not going to because of a landslide and you're going to be hungry. Be like, where the hell's my vittles? Where's my food? Right? And then you're going to react to that. So you have to understand that life is a happening. It's a happening, constantly a happening. And it does not allow you to be an absolutist if you're going to be well. So in my personal philosophy, I give myself that range. Now, I try to set myself up so that I have to be on the good side. So like we joke about a lot, in order for me to train regularly. I mean, I know it's good. There's a lot of things we know are good, but we don't manage to do them. So I not only got a group, but that wasn't enough for me. I had to become the trainer, which is not enough for me. And I had to have the only key for years and years, which was not enough for me. So then I had to become a world champion. Then it was enough for me because I had something to work for on top of it with a group of people. So everybody and my situation and what I'd promised people held me accountable. Then I was training regularly. Easy, right? So part of being a really good example, I believe, is to accept the times when you're not able to do the thing you want to do or say that you should do and recover. Because then you can teach other people how to recover when they also fall. That's the whole point.
And I think you become more, what's the word?
Compassionate.
Yes, compassionate, but
understanding.
Also, people also
real.
They see that it didn't go. People observe a lot because they judge a lot, so they see that life's not perfect for you right now. And I think that what makes people want to listen to you has often to do with, oh, you get out of that. Oh, I didn't think you could.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
How? Because it's often. See, this is the crappy thing with the Instagram filters and the perfect life on social media and all this stuff. First of all, life is not a highlight. That's the whole, you have highlights, but your whole life is not a highlight. That's just the definition of life. It's up and down and sideways and dark and light and everything. Hopefully for you, otherwise you're living a very limited life, like we were just talking about. So number one, the Instagram filters and all that crap is bad for you because you may misunderstand and think that you have a crappy life because it's not just a highlight. The second thing is that you you find so many people pretending that every single moment they're living is so freaking perfect that you kind of start listening to them because, well, if they're perfect all the time, maybe I should be perfect all the time and then I should listen to them. When you actually should be listening to a person who's living their life and having down times and recovering to up times that have had the challenges. I have wisdom in me because I've had the challenges. I've failed. I've broken it off. I've smashed myself. I've lost. I've given everything and gotten nothing back. I have the scars, all of them. And from those scars, I have the wisdom that I teach. You don't want a person who's never lived life to tell you how to bring yourself out of hell to get to where it's good. You want to know somebody who travels that road and has traveled it so much that they can tell you without looking that, okay, take a left, take a right, watch the rock. Okay, there's a guy going to jump out on the left. You know, you want to know how to recover. So my friend, whoever you are, don't beat yourself up because you sometimes fall. Get the fuck back up, dust yourself off, and appreciate yourself for recovering. Because it's not about not getting traumatized or falling. It's about getting up and recovering. How fast you recover back to what you want in your life, right?
I would say it's just as a distinction, English words. There's then also a difference between recovering and to pull that thin band so it breaks. So I also think people misunderstand recovery from toughening up when they should take downtime. Yeah,
that's it.
It's okay to take that downtime. You put pause instead of fast forward.
Yeah, and that's also a part of that learning process. Yeah. You know, you have to know sometimes, and I guess this is also the difference between being, for example, an old warrior and a young warrior. In jiu-jitsu, and this is a very relevant point, they say you should train when you're injured. You should train when you're tired. You should train when you're exhausted. You train when you're coming back after a party in the weekend. You should train all the time. Why? Because you are robust and young enough to tolerate it. You should, see how far you can push your body. You should see how little sleep you can work with. You could see, because you're healthy enough to recover from it. But when you're older, you're no longer as vital. You don't have the ability to recover physically like you did before. You should have been learning from your experiences before to figure out where your limits are so that you don't have to push your limits when you're older. And that's the point. It's not about me, for example. At my age, I'm 53 now.
2.
3?
2.
2?
2.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think you're 52.
3?
No. 2.
You sure?
I don't know.
I don't know me. Yeah. That's how important it is.
I think you're 52.
Yeah. But it was just August, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you turned 52.
You sure?
Yeah, you have had a motorcycle for 2 years, haven't you?
I have to think about
Anyways, I think you're 52.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, you're 23. You're born in 71.
Yeah. You're going to make me do math.
That's 52.
Try the calculator.
And that's 52. We're 2023 now.
Yeah.
True. 71, 23.
Yeah.
1, 3. That's 2.
Yeah.
52.
All right.
Yeah.
You sure?
No.
I'll take it. 52.
I gave you 1 year, actually.
Yeah, God bless you. Love you long time. Yeah. So anyway, so the point is that it's now I know I can push myself beyond all the limits if I have to, but I shouldn't do that regularly now because it will break down my health and vitality. But to know how far you can push yourself is important. And when you're a younger person, when you're saying you pull that line, you have to figure out sometimes where it breaks when you're young, because then okay, now I'm bankrupt, like I can't go any further. Because so many people live in such a comfort zone today that, they stop at 30% instead of stopping at 0% or 1% left, right? They stop at 70% left. But once you figure that out, then you have to start thinking more about the recovery and being smart with your resources. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's really smart.
Yeah. So back to the questions. But because we've gotten now a lot of questions, and that's the reason why I brought it up in this episode, because we do talk a lot about flow state, and people are wondering what it is. And I also would say it's very important because the flow state continuing weekend that we have next is in February. Is what we do there is that you start clearing out your nervous system.
Yes.
You start clearing out all patterns. The issue is it's not done in a weekend. And what I found is that all the people I've talked to after an event, they have had an amazing experience. But they differentiate into different categories. You have the one that had an amazing experience, life-changing experience. And then they think they're done. And then they come back to a new event in 2 years. Because they discover that it wasn't done. And then you have the people that understand that the nervous system is not cleared in a weekend. We're not Jesus.
And neither are they.
No.
Yeah, well, that's the point.
It takes some time.
Yeah.
And every day you get bombarded with things to try to pull you out of flow. They try to infiltrate your nervous system.
Yes.
And we do have an immune system for our body, but we don't have that for our nervous system in the way of thoughts, patterns, emotional trauma, comments from a stranger. We don't have that robustness when we're born necessarily. And it depends about your mothers and fathers and teachers and preachers, how well immune system, donkey years, in this emotional, spiritual, mental immune system you have. So that's what we're kind of building, is that you start building an immune system. And that's the difference you see with the people that they kind of attend once and then they're gone. They think that their immune system are up and rocking. And then you have the people who understand that they need to maintain their immune system. You should eat healthy. You should get your vitamins. And that's why they join the mastermind groups and they join the next event, because every time the masterminds, although they're smaller, they keep them in contact. They're getting their monthly apple of nutritions to keep their immune system healthy. And then you go to the deep dive to really get a boost. And many people in their event just don't know what they go to. And I understand that can be very scary. And we do, last time I said, like, kind of we're rattling the cages. We're not, wherever in the event, we never say anything bad about you. We just ask you a lot of questions. And it hits a lot of things that, where we're hitting those, I'm making an X with my fingers. Blockages, thank you. This thing,
those things,
this X thing. Blockages for your flow state. And when that hits, it can be quite uncomfortable. And then we use Soma, we use Siva method, we use Moksha to really integrate that new change you're deciding to make, to upgrade that nervous system so you get more resilient in your mental health, emotional health, and in your body, actually. And that's why having a deep dive, for me, is extremely important, because it really fuels the process. And I'm longing for that deep dive, because life's too hectic. I should, like you said, I should have a big deep dive. I'm wanting it, but all of a sudden it's Sunday again, and I don't understand where a week went. But to have these every half year, to give that to yourself, to your body, to your mental health, your emotional health, going deep, upgrade your immune system, so to speak, upgrade the nervous system, clear it out. And unfortunately, it's not done in a weekend, because you want it to be sustainable, because you want that to be a continuum, right? And that's what we're providing with the weekends.
That's it's well said. And there's there's a thing. Do you know the reason why there are those two groups?
No.
Yeah, because this is interesting. I had this a lot in meditation when I was a child, and I got to see people in different meditation groups and different spiritual groups and different self-development groups and actually philosophical groups as well. And that
because many may not know this, but you hang out with the people with dreads.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Like I've been in. You have no idea the groups I've been good friends with. You know, everything from professors in philosophy and psychology to straight up voodoo doctors and healers and energetic workers and hippies. Like my parents were hippies, and people don't know that about me. You know, it could have been my name was Sunshine at one point. I'm just kidding.
It's not a moonshine. It's moonshine. That's the thing you drink. You're like, that's
Sunshine? Anyway. Yeah. So the whole reason why you have two groups of people is that when you're just starting your journey, you know, like we say, if I change your body 1%, nothing changes. But if I change your perspective 1%, everything changes. Yeah. And they get, for the first time in their life, they get a bump up where they actually have maybe even a 3, 4, 5, 6, 10% jump in perception. And they suddenly can see further than they've ever seen in their life. They're like, I understand me now. Holy crap. Like, they have no idea that there's so much more. They think that 5% is 100%.
Oh yeah, I do remember that feeling.
Yeah, right.
I've gone in that that trap many times.
Yeah, everybody does, because it's like you've never seen further than this. You've never been where you are now.
I understand it now.
Yeah, now I'm done. This is it. Like, Jason, Marit, Steve, you guys are amazeballs. Well, thank you very much. You're amazeballs, but now I'm realized. It's like, okay, love you long time. Enjoy that. But as soon as they start to kind of work with themselves, they realize that, okay, I can see to the next town now. I didn't know that the next town was even there. I can see the next town, but I can't see further. And then they go, hey, I need to go back to the flow state continuum weekend because I need another bump. Because I realize now I can only see as far as Bergen. And I want to see it in New York.
If I can see it to Bergen now, there must be more because I didn't know Bergen existed before.
That's it. And that's it. So you have the group of people who get their first bump and they're like, oh, wow, my life is so much better. I feel so much better. I have so much more energy. It can't get better than
this.
Exactly. And that's it. It can't get better than this because I'm fucking stoked. I'm flying high.
My
life is perfect. God bless you. You guys are Jesus, you know? And then you have the other group who's been working for a while and they realize that, okay, now I know that I'm super high and I feel good and I can see further than ever and I'm growing. But I know that because I've been through these stages before, that there's going to be another level soon. And I want that next level because for every level that I grow, for every level that I take a step up, I get more energy, more connection, and feel better. And I have more meaning in my life. And I want more meaning, more connection, and more energy. So they continue to work.
And that's why then I get experiential because I'm craving the deep dives because I'm like, I need to go in.
You're advanced.
I want to.
Yeah.
I want to go in again.
Exactly, because the more awareness you get in your life, the more results you get. But the more results you get, the more you want. And then the more you take on yourself, the bigger your life gets, the more you need to be deep diving in order to have the energy to really expand.
And when you expand, you get more things into your nervous system. Exactly. So you need to keep that resilience.
You keep your resilience going because the stakes go up, the energy goes up, the results go up, the performance goes up, everything's increasing. And that's what you want. You don't want a smaller and smaller life. That's easy to do. Just, buy yourself a cabin and live there. Everybody wants a bigger life. They want to mean more. They want to experience more. They want to have more depth of feeling. They want to have better health. They want to, find more of what's important to them. That's what they want.
And like I said, with that nice kid that you talked to in Sweden about that, like you want to know where you should use your time
Exactly.
or where not to use it.
That guy, I love that guy so much. He's so cool. He's such a young philosopher. I want his quote. I want to spend more time on the things that are important to me, and I want to know more about what's really important to myself.
There you go.
And it's amazing, right? That's such a great answer. And that's an 18-year-old asked, hey, how could your life be better? Like I said, every other 18-year-old that I've met is all like, I want Ben & Jerry's ice cream, a fast car, and a hot mate. That's what I want. This guy's philosopher. Yeah, he's a philosopher. So my point is here, guys, show up at the event, enjoy yourself. If you've been to an event before, you know what I'm talking about. It's insane. It's so good. You're going to learn a lot. And I guarantee you, we're leveling up every time. I'm taking it deeper and deeper, bigger and bigger. It's going to be great.
And so I hope this episode helped answer a couple of questions we've gotten around the flow state.
Mm-hmm.
If not, just drop me a message and we'll be back in 2 weeks.
That's it.
Answering more questions.
Yeah. So remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then you're energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.